Home the gold.
He could be too far. No, he's kicking. Oh, what a catch!
Puts a spicy forehand out in front of Naomi Morcilla.
Move for the win. Team Canada. Garrett Wu!
Santos with the layout grab.
Oh, that fantastic grab. The claws of Chaffer.
Canada just became the world champions.
You take the field with basically two things, yourself and your cleats. That's why you need the best on your feet. For me, I want a lightweight cleat that I feel I can move freely in. And if you want that, you need to get Tokai cleats, which are specifically designed for ultimate. The toe stud helps you get in and out of your cuts quickly, and it's got a fabric-based upper that helps cool off your feet, especially on those long days on the turf. That's why they are on the feet of elite players like Robin Fennig, Rowan McDonald, Britt Dos Santos, and Mish Phillips. You try to put your best self on the field. To make sure you're bringing the best with you, head to tokaiultimate.com. Canada and the rest of the world, you're listening to the Huckin podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Theo, living in Kingston, Ontario.
And I'm Danie Proby. I'm from New West, BC, and we are your coast-to-coast guide to all things Canadian Ultimate. Theo, we were both at the same Canadian Ultimate tournament this weekend. Did it just make your life to be able to see me in person again?
I tried to at first avoid eye contact and try to stay so locked in. I was oh, I'm going to focus on my first game. I'm going to be locked in. I'm not even going to make eye contact with anyone from Team Canada. I'm just going to walk across the field. But eventually I did say hi to you. I wasn't sure. I think it was after the first game, right?
I think
made
so.
contact. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, it was a good time. We're going to see each other again, folks, in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be exciting. It'll be in a different country in the great Midwest, but we will be seeing each other again. So was it as good as for you as it was for me being reunited with your co-host there?
It was thrilling. We got a cute professional photo done. We got a couple photos actually, which was fun. We got to put that on the Instagram. But yeah, it was great. It's fun to watch you play. I was very focused on my team, so I didn't actually notice you as much. Except for I swear you had a layup block in the end zone. I swear you did. You said you didn't. You just blocked it.
No, it wasn't. It was not a layup block. I was covering the Calvin. I was covering the Calvin Colberry, rocking this big Sunny G's, and he cut up line. Your thrower still had the disc just outside the end zone, and Megan Gillis was slashing across into the open side. And I think I was just slow to react to Calvin leaving, so I just kind of stayed in the lane, and then the throw came, and I just batted it down. I don't think I laid out at all. I'm
rude.
Pretty certain of it.
I swear. Okay, well, optical illusion. Something happened in my brain, and I was like, "Wow,
my
Theo
team was
must be
pumped
so
about
happy."
it, though.
Well, yeah. I think that. I mean, it was a good game. It was fun to play against your team. Yeah, it was a good weekend overall, with the exception of something that happened at the very end for me. So, some people know this about me, that I'm forgetful or I lose things.
Oh no!
I've maybe talked about losing my passport before. I think I've said this before on the air, but where I was on a restricted passport, so I could only get passports issued to me for a year at a time. I couldn't get a 5-year passport.
I did not know that.
Oh, okay. Well, I had lost too many. And so when I went to go reapply for a new passport, because it was damaged or lost or stolen or whatever it was, I had to write a letter to the government being like, I will take care of my passport in the following 3 ways. I had to write a little note, I was in trouble at elementary school. And then they issued me a new passport for a year and that kind of thing. So anyways, I'm on my 37th debit card. I've lost I had to order a new credit card for the business because I lost that too. It's just, I try to take it easy on myself because I do try. I have a lot of methods for trying to keep track of my things, but it's definitely an ADHD symptom. And so once I figured that out, that once I got diagnosed as an adult and I saw that was something that is really common, I was a little bit more chill to myself, because I used to really beat myself up about it because it's really frustrating. It's expensive and inconvenient because, yeah. So Danie strikes again this weekend, and I'm at the Toronto airport. I'm like, sweet. I'm just going to grab my fanny pack out of my bag because it has my ID, my credit cards, my house keys, and I had forgotten them at Dax's dad's house. I pulled the fanny pack out of my backpack to get it to be more easy to grab. so that I could have it like ready to go at the airport. And I just left it on their kitchen table. Didn't have time to go back to the house and back. So I just like boarded my plane and I had to leave it behind. I had a passport with me, shockingly. And I boarded the plane and I had to get a ride to Ari's parents' house at like 1 a.m, get our house key from them, take an Uber with Indy back to my apartment. So yeah, shout out to Dax's dad who's FedExing my fanny pack so I can have it in time for college nationals, but it's pretty classic and stupid.
Has he already FedExed it?
Yeah, it's actually supposed to be in like tomorrow or the next day.
Because I was going to say, I'm going to be in Toronto, so I could potentially pick it up and then you would have it like hand delivered instead of FedExed.
Yeah, I think I need it like before then. It's also like nice to drive legally around here. Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah. Hey, hopefully the authorities aren't listening to you right now as you say that.
I swear I've been seeing more cops out there lately. And like, I know that if you get pulled over, you don't have your driver's license on you. They just ticket you. It's not like they're going to do anything crazy. And I have a license. I have the number. I have pictures of it. So I could show it to them or whatever. It is risky. So I don't recommend doing anything illegal on this podcast. Relax, everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that was about. So sorry that it happened to you. I'm also a forgetful person. So I totally understand. I remember. Yeah. I've lost many things as well. So I understand the pain. And so, yeah, hopefully you get that stuff back and you'll be ready. Folks, we got a lot going on. So we're going to jump into news because there's a lot of things happening. There's U.S. Beach Nationals, but some Canadian teams went. Pioneer Valley Invite, AUDL, a bunch of other stuff happening, Ultimate Canada-wise. And then in our main event, we're going to recap the tournament that we were just talking about at TUX. Some interesting results. Maybe you're going to buy high on some of these teams. Maybe you're going to buy low based on these results. But we'll talk about all that starting with the news after this break.
We now have breaking news.
Welcome to your news section. Starting off, we have kind of a send-off game between UBC and some traffic players. So it's going to be on this Saturday. I'm trying to get some people out to come watch so we can kind of create a little bit of an environment and kind of a community event out of it. So that's happening. The Art Huckin's Great Canadian Ultimate Game, the sign up is now live. So if you don't know what that event is, basically across Canada, people are playing ultimate games and the score is like red versus white and it gets accumulated across the country. It's pretty cool. It's a fundraiser. Art Huckin's was an amazing man in ultimate. So it's for a good cause. So if you have the opportunity to play in this game or to help out with running this event, just look that up on Ultimate Canada's website.
Yeah, more Ultimate Canada stuff coming at you. So they are hiring a summer events coordinator. So if you want to get involved and do stuff with Ultimate Canada, go apply. Probably means you can't play, so you'll have to sacrifice for a year. The other thing, too, is they have some changes to some of the manuals and stuff. One of the main ones that you should probably care about if you're a captain is that your roster can only have 26 players. So now for CUC series, I'm talking senior and masters right now, you can only have 26 players. A really cool rule, I love this, I'm like super stoked, is like quarterfinals, semis, and placement games. Oh wait, pool play too? Yo, sick. Played to a score of 15. These games will be scheduled for 90 minutes with a soft cap at 85 minutes, and there's no hard time cap. Does that mean you have to score to win? Is that what I'm reading?
No hard time cap. Seems like it.
By the way, if that's the case, that's hype because as we know, we're going to talk about this in the main event, but like games ending in hard cap is not that fun. Like if you don't have to score to win, it's not fun.
At TUX, you know how they had like the rules different on Saturday to Sunday?
Yeah,
in the rules package, it was, I think it would care. I had never played with this rule before. And then people were like, yeah, this is like an Ontario, this is like a fours or an indoor thing. I was like, this is strange. I've never seen this in outdoor. Yeah. But basically they're like, okay, as soon as you hear the horn, you stop playing unless it's tied. And I was like, what? And so we're playing this game and the horn goes and then we just like walk off the field. So anticlimactic. But then we found out for Sunday that was a mistake and that rule wasn't supposed to be in there. So I'm curious if that would have actually changed some teams' kind of situation.
Yeah, well, they're not going to have this at nationals. So reminder of national team stuff. You know, Danny, if you want to compete for a national team, you got to know this stuff right here. 80% of your roster rounded down has to be comprised of players who've been rostered for CUC the year prior. So it could be junior, senior, or master. So if you want to try out for the national team, you got to be playing in CUC in some way, shape, or form. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, so kind of been alluding to this a little bit, but there was some U24 training camps this weekend. So the women's team was in Vancouver. And so they had practices on Friday and Sunday, and I believe they're playing mostly games on Saturday. And so they played drift, drive, and traffic, and they won all 3 of their games. They won their game against traffic. I'm putting traffic in quotations on Universe just because I think that wasn't really like the full traffic roster. That being said, it's amazing that a team that has only really been together for one weekend is able to perform against a team of quite experienced players. So it's pretty sweet. We love to see it. I mean, unless you're on traffic, which I am, and which I kind of like love and hate to see it.
You know, love, hate right there.
Love, hate. And then the men's U24 team was in Ottawa. And so they got to play a game against Phoenix and they were able to win that game 15-12. Seemed like they did like a cute scavenger hunt thing. And they started their whole training camp by doing a 10 by 400 meter. Let that like settle. That's horrible. And my team was like seeing that on like Instagram and they're like, well, you'd rather be playing in a tournament. Thank you. And I'm like, what? It's a different kind of bonding. Like when you can kind of go through those things together, it does bring you together. Yes, Theo.
I've heard some Team Canada teams before have done some like Navy SEALs type stuff. Like I was hearing this from Trevor Nechtel from the 2014 like U20 Open team. They did some form of like bonding with something like that. I think it was a little more intense.
I think that's a John Hayduk specialty because he's done that before with other teams.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the secrets, but yeah, it's something that they've done. I think it's cool. For those wondering, because I'm wondering this too, they're not going to be playing a tournament before Worlds, correct? Or they have some other training camps coming up, or maybe you can't say what it is, but
yeah, they were supposed to do Flower Bowl in Vancouver, but that because that event changed or whatever, they're just in Vancouver for another training camp. And so they'll probably be playing against Furious, Blackfish, kind of trying to pick up some games as well. It's not really the same kind of vibe, but I think they're able to kind of get a lot done in their training camp weekends. And the fact that it's their third one and they're going to get some games in, I think they're going to be set up for success. Now, the mixed team, as we will talk about later, was at TUX. I want to shout out my team because on Friday night we went to a playground and we played grounders and it was really fun. And then we played some basketball. Just good vibes. We went to the AUDL game, which was fun. And then I want to also shout us out because apparently we did really well in Spirit in the tournament. So I'm not going to say much more because we will talk about it kind of in the main event, but those are kind of some of the highlights for me. It was like a really, really good vibe and the players all seem to be like just really happy with the team. And I'm feeling really proud of kind of what we've been able to do so far. Lots of kinks to work out, but it's all good.
So grounders, if you've been on a playground, you've probably played it, folks. Like, who came up with the idea to play grounders? First of all, I need to know that because is it like none of them are teachers probably, but who decided to play that? Who was like, yo, let's play grounders?
I think it was me.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was going to be a little bit more different. Okay, fine. Can you answer this? Who's the best baller on the team? Who was like balling out in basketball and just like shooting and like killing it?
I mean, Avery Lepi got like so many rebounds. Like Philip Craggle is probably he's super tall, great vertical, and also played basketball in high school. So close second. Shout out Stratford Hall kids.
Stratford Hall. Speaking of, that's a high school, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of high school, there was a high school tournament, Pioneer Valley Invite. We've talked about it last year as well. This year, there are a lot of Canadian teams going, not just from Ottawa, who usually goes, but also Quebec. So 5 women's teams went Wicked West, Wicked East, so Wicked East being the B team, and then Titan, a team from Saint, I'm going to butcher this name. I tried to even listen to the pronunciation of it, Hyacinth or something like that in Quebec, and then Origine out of Quebec City. So Wicked West and Origine actually won their pools, which is really cool in the A division. So they both went 3-0. And then Wicked West and Origine actually met. This is so cool. They met in the
Semis.
Look at that. Origine getting the better of Wicked West, and they lose in the final to Newton North by 2. What's interesting is that Pioneer Valley Invite has mostly high school teams, and then the Canadian teams send in club teams. So I don't know, like, it's kind of weird because imagine like high school teams playing club teams. Like club teams are like the best high school players together in a city. They're playing like the best like a high school. So anywho, that's what happened.
America's
Wicked West
just
picks
built
up,
different.
they are just built different. Wicked West picks up 3rd, and Titan picks up 5th. So like these teams are killing it over here. That's all I'm saying.
One thing I want to say about
yeah.
Wicked is that they were missing Brooklyn Cheer because Brooklyn is one of our kind of injury reserve players. And she was actually with the U24 team. Even though she's in grade 11, she was with our U24 team, killing it. She actually got played on a Universe point line. So the fact that they were able to do that well without their like star player is amazing.
She's in grade 11?
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, Wicked West and I think Wicked East did this as well. They did this like really cool, I don't know whose vision it was.
The photo, yes.
Yeah, that was hype. Like
the Wonder Woman photo.
Yeah, super hype. I was very stoked with that. Wicked East comes in 19th, and PULL comes in 12th. So some good showings there on the women's side. On the boys' side or open side, lots of teams going as well. Ottawa sent 3 teams, so that's really cool. Ignite, Scorch, and Blaze, and then kind of the teams I already mentioned sending in their boys like affiliate there. So Titan, Origine, PULL, and then Argonne out of Montreal. So not as much hype on the pool play. Titan is actually seeded 4th and comes 0-3, so that's tough. Ignite and Origine finished 1 and 2 respectively in their A division. Some of the teams also play in the B division, so there were 3 divisions here, B and C. The highest finishing Canadian team on the open side was Ignite, finishing 9th. Origine comes in 11th, and Titan comes in 13th. So they're all like kind of that 9 to 16. There's a lot of good American high school teams there, and I assume some of them are going to be at the High School National Invite, which Ultiworld hosts. And what's also cool is this tournament had some JV squads as well. So there were like a mix of different teams there. So the other Ottawa teams also finish up their tournament. And it's good to get these teams some experience here. I wouldn't worry too much about the results for these teams because it's about getting the experience of playing some like high-level competition. So I wouldn't don't stress too much about the results there, folks, if you're on one of those teams.
Yeah, I think it's just we just don't. I mean, we have spring rain on the West Coast, and it's sort of a similar situation where they allow us to send kind of club teams. Like they don't need to be high school teams. Yet everyone to play against is a high school team. And so it does kind of give you an indication of kind of where Canadian Ultimate is compared to the US, because if these US high school teams are annihilating like our club teams or teams that we're putting together, I think we got some work to do. We got to kind of get more kids playing, more high schools playing and training in order for us to be able to kind of keep up. But Seattle is also just like a ultimate mecca. They have like mandatory middle school ultimate teams in Seattle.
Wait, what do you mean mandatory?
Like every middle school apparently has to offer ultimate.
Oh, but you don't like have to play it, but it's offered in schools, which means kids are going to get into it eventually and get hooked. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a full league, like it's fully functioning and robust. And so that's why their high schools are so strong, is because they have so many people that are starting to play in like grade 3, 4, or 5, etc. Whereas in Vancouver, it's very rare. Sometimes at Elevate, we get kids that early, but they're not joining leagues and stuff like that. Like they don't start actually playing until they're in high school. So definitely a little bit behind, but it's all good. We're doing our best out here.
A final thing I'll add about this tournament before we move on. Another team from Quebec City, Echo, finishes 10th, so they actually lose to Ignite there. So I mean, the 9 to 16 bracket, there's like a lot of Canadian teams out there, so that's pretty cool. And Danie, I know, you like the hardware, but someone else in your house earned some hardware this weekend, correct?
We're adding a new
city.
medal to our Frisbee wall in our workout room. Super cool. So Club Beach Nationals, USA Club Beach Nationals. I did not know.
I didn't even know that was happening.
I didn't know it was happening. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know it was a thing. But Los Otros was a open team. It's kind of like a Team Canada, basically. Like there's people from all over.
Read the roster. Read off the roster. It's crazy.
Ari Nidekman, what a stud. Jeff Lindquist, JJ Edwards, Jackie Howe, Devin Thompson, Vince Bullock, Kevin Underhill, Malcolm Bryson. I could keep going. Just like so many household names in Ultimate Frisbee. So they kind of had an easy start, 13-6 their first game. Then they beat the Sundogs, also 13-6. Then they won on Universe against a team called Bayonet. And then they kind of finished their last game on Saturday, 13-5. So I was talking to Ari, he's like, I wish that we had a couple closer games. It's kind of like not as fun to kind of play like this.
It's not fun to win, or what?
I mean, I'm sure it's fun to win, but sometimes it's fun to win by a little bit more. And so they're in semifinals. They won their semifinal game again, 13-6. And then they won their final 13-7 against the team that they only beat on Universe the other day. They beat them by quite a bit. And I got some insider information that after their first two games, they just kind of were like whatever, like these teams are going to be easy, and kind of just had a slow start against that team. And so they ate a big lunch. They were like baking in the sun, la, 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 la. So they were not quite ready to go. And so they kicked it into high gear for the final. And so they ended up winning. Hurrah, hurrah. But they were not the only Canadian team at this tournament. So a team that is close to my heart, Happy Campers, was in the mixed masters division. Now, they hail from like Vancouver Island, mostly Victoria, and a lot of these people were my old Sky Sharks teammates. So they've been playing together for like decades, this group. So it's amazing. So they ended up, they lost their first game 12-6, but then ended up winning their second game 11-6 in pool play. And then they won their sort of quarter-ish type game or pre-quarter game 9-6. And then they won their quarter 11-6. It's a lot of scores to 6 in both,
what's up
of the
with
brackets.
That?
I don't know. It's so weird. Then they won their this might have been their quarter 11-7. And then they lose in the semi 11-7. I believe they finished third overall. I'll have to check, but they got players
I'll check right now while you're talking.
Danny Saunders on their team, Ultimate Canada Executive Director. We have like Patty Bernacki. I've been playing with her forever. She's great. Jenny Ware, Patrick Frisbee, literally the best name in Ultimate. Dustin Olander, all these names I know and love from my hometown. Yes, Theo.
They actually lost in the final.
That was the final.
So, 11-7. That's as far as the bracket goes.
I wasn't sure from this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So they got second.
So they got second. Like that's in the mixed grand masters. Like that's pretty cool. That's pretty high.
We also have a Grandmasters men's team as well. Do you want to kind of take us through that?
Yeah, get off my lawn.
I love that.
From Waterloo, Ontario. I know some of these people. Well, I commented with Andrew Portwine, but I know of Dan. I played with Dan Carlson before. Gordon Chu has been playing in the GTA area. So this is kind of like some GTA players. I'm sure they picked up some Americans too as well. So things didn't go the way for this squad. Pool play was a little bit tough for them. They end up finishing 5th overall. So they're just a tough time. It's when you don't play a lot of beach, it can be tough, so it's good for them to get out there. Sorry, I actually stand corrected. They actually finished 6th. So there were 6 teams. They finished 6th there. So tough tournament. They actually do get a W in pool play, but not able to win their bracket placement game. So based on pool play, there was finals and all that. So there was no true bracket. So if you finished 5th and 6th, you just end up playing that other team. And so they lost to Scorch 13-6 for 5th. So yeah, tough for Get Off My Lawn. I'm sure they had fun. I know your team name probably doesn't really work when it's beach. So maybe should we get off my beach or something? But
Get off my sand.
get off my sand.
Yeah, but
So
maybe that's
pretty,
the point of the name. It's like get off my lawn. So now instead of being on the lawn, they're on the beach.
yeah, but should we get off my sand then?
Well, maybe
Just
they want
change
to be
it.
on the sand with everybody.
Oh, maybe. I swear beach nationals used to be bigger. Like I'm pretty convinced of it. Like I remember there was like big brackets, like it was a lot bigger. So like the fact the open division only had 5 teams, I just don't know if USA Ultimate really promoted the tournament because I mean, we're not American, but I didn't hear anything about it. Like, did you even know it was happening until Ari was like, "Hey, I'm playing beach nationals"?
No, I've never known that it's existed, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah. Anywho, last bit of news. We got to go AUDL because yours truly, other co-host out here, also attended this game. The Rush get the dub 25-20. From the Toronto perspective, they were much better on their D-line offense. They only got 2 breaks total combined against New York and Boston. They got 8 in this game. Montreal tried to hang in there. They did for like basically 3/4 of the game. Toronto was led by James Lewis, Mike McKenzie, and Ty Barbieri. They all had 4 goals apiece. James Lewis also added 3 assists and 2 blocks. Montreal's led by probably the 3 people you would think of off the top of your head. So Kevin Quinlan, Malik Ojai-Samar, and Christophe Tremblay-Jonca. They were killing it all over the field, combining for 12 goals together. They scored 4 apiece. And Quinlan and Ojai-Samar got 5 assists as well. But I want to shout out some rookies here. So Oren Benoon, Winnipeg's finest, he was killing it. He played on O. Same thing with Griffin McKee, 2 rookies. And Oren actually had a Callahan in the game, which was really exciting, at least from the booth perspective. What was the vibes like when that happened in like the crowd? Were people going crazy? Like, I can't really see the crowd when I'm up in the booth, so I don't know what the vibe is.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't like an explosion of shock and awe. Like I think people recognize it and there's some oohs and ahs, but I mean people were mostly just like socializing in the stands. Like they're watching, they're chatting. And
was it?
Yeah. I think it was pretty chill. People were like, was that a Callahan? Oh my God, who threw it? It was more like they were trying to figure out who threw it so that they could shame them. We were trying to figure out whether it was one of our U24 guys because we're we just didn't want one of them to have thrown it, but we're good to go. Good to go.
Oh, from the Montreal side, yeah. Yes. I will say the rush numbers, I like the new kits, but like the rush numbers are actually a little bit hard to read from like up high. So like the black with the red is actually quite difficult. If you don't recognize their face, it's hard to read. Luckily, I know most of them, or all of them, so it helps. Montreal's jersey is a lot easier to read. You probably would have seen this person, but Melvin Brichet was killing it here. He just really impressed me. He's a France U20 kid, so he would have competed against the Team Canada U20 players. And he's going to be a household name, I think, for them. He was stepping up to the O-line and did really well. So, Danie, is this your first ever AUDL game, or have you been to more?
No, I mean, I went to a couple Riptide games back in the day when I was dating somebody who was playing there, and then I was dating Ari.
Wait, you did? Who? Oh, you don't want to say on the podcast.
Well, I mean, it was a very public relationship. I was dating Taylor Naden. He was on Riptide and Nighthawks or whatever back in the day.
I don't even know who that is.
And then Ari. So, and then I've been to some Outlaws games, like Outlaws games last year when our U20 team was at No Borders, for example. So I've been to them on occasion. I think one in Seattle too during spring rain, I believe.
Cascades, let's go.
Yeah. One thing I do have a question. Is this Royale's first game?
That was their first game, so they're 0-1. They'll be playing Boston this weekend at home. Toronto gets DC, but Toronto really avoided going down. Like they were going to potentially start 0-3, so they really need this W.
Yeah, I just think it's tough to be a team that hasn't played a game yet, playing against a team that's on their 3rd game. I think that just like it is something to note, and also I think a lot of like the Royale had our 3 U24 guys playing, but the Rush opted to sit our U24 players. I think like because they had played 3 games, it was a good strategical adjustment to not play them because they would be in theory tired. But shout out to our U24 players because I thought they brought a lot of energy on the field and it was really fun to watch them. And our whole team went down and did like the whole tunnel high five thing and we were just like pushing them and stuff. It was good vibes.
Yeah, and I want to send some good vibes in the direction of one of your assistant coaches here because he's posted about this now on social media. So it's public info now because he's posted about it. But wishing Jeremy Hill a big recovery there. He got hurt during warmups and won't be playing this year. And so, yeah, I know you were checking on him as well, Danie. So as someone who's had a major injury, you understand the pain of that.
Yeah, it sucks. He's done it before too. So sometimes when it's your first time, you're kind of like, well, maybe XYZ, and you kind of dream. But if you've done it before, you know what that recovery process is, and it takes a long time. And I mean, he's a expecting father, so he kind of needs to heal up so he can be a good baby daddy right away. So you need your knees to father a child. I think. I wouldn't know.
I mean, I wouldn't know either, but I assume you need your full body. So, yeah, wishing you the best there, Jeremy. And I know he'll still be coaching. I think he could still coach, right? It's not.
Yeah.
That doesn't change. So, anyways, that's the news. We're gonna head in and talk about TUX. There were some surprises, some spicy, some chalk. So we're gonna get into that right after this.
Spring college season is here and the warm weather is on its way. That means it's reversible season. Breakmark is giving away free reversibles for teams that order a bundle. With prices starting at just $75, it's the best way to have your team looking game ready this spring. And reorders get a 20% discount. Get started today at breakmark.com.
Welcome to the main event. We have our TUX Recap. So let's start in the mixed division. It was the biggest division and kind of the least last minute changes. So it was pretty fun. I feel like the seedings were pretty good. In general, considering you don't know where any of these teams are, you don't know their rosters, things change so much from year to year. Tryouts just finished for some of these teams. I thought the initial seedings, they did a good job. So I think it was we already talked about kind of the hard cap rule. That was kind of a fun, spicy thing that happened. But and then you kind of talked about how the pools ended up. But I think from my perspective, it was cool because in our pool, we had a universe game, the first game against KWG, and across the field on the other pool play game, it was also a universe point game. And I was like, this is going to be a great day of Frisbee. So it was just really fun to be able to play in games against teams that at any moment they could bring their A game and you don't know what to expect. So do you want to break down the kind of pool play action? Because, I mean, you played in it this time.
I did. Both top pools had three-way ties, as you alluded to, so that's actually pretty cool. Big Cat gets first in their pool because they crushed Crash 13-7. Union takes out Big Cat by 1, but then they lose to Crash. And then, so that causes that three-way tie, as just mentioned. So Crash, actually, even though you finished 2-1, you have to play a crossover. Crux goes 0-3 there. And so the same thing happens to Local 613 here. We beat Danger Noodle with the really bad hard cap rules. So the horn goes. So actually, this rule impacted this game for sure because the horn goes and they're on offense. And we're like, no hucks. We don't want them to huck. They still huck the disc and they score. But then, so our O's trying to head out for universe point. But then we're like, no, the horn went. And with the rule, that means the game is over. And so there's some discussion and then it's decided that we win the game.
Oh my God.
So that rule actually affected things. Of course, I still think our O would have scored, but that might be a hot take, Danger Noodle, sorry. But yeah, I think our O-line would have still been cooking out there. But yeah, that actually affected that game. And it actually affected our other game too. I believe we also won on hard cap in not the same form. There wasn't a horn then score. There was a whole point to be played. But yeah, Team Canada, that was a fun game. That was really fun. I don't think there was, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was ever a time where we were within 1 or 2 where you were oh no, they're coming for us. But I think we were still within it, but it never felt I don't know, we were 2 points away. I don't actually know the score during the game because there was no scoreboard. So I'm just going off of my head and trying to count. But I don't know from your perspective what you thought about that game.
Yeah, it was good.
We had some good plays. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, our game plan was to allow Trevor Knechtel to huck, and then just joking. He's a very talented thrower, but there were a couple of big bombers on that team, and so we really tried to kind of work with our marks to kind of take that away, but still maintain our like no unders defensive style. So it was fun to play y'all. It was good because we lost to KWG, which I think that like if we played them second, third, fourth, like I don't think it would have been the same. Like it was a pretty bad game. Like I'm looking at our stats sheet and like just a lot of unforced errors, trying to learn how to play with each other. Like everybody plays a different reset system, so trying to get on the same page with that as well. It was a bit of a rough start, but yeah, the local 613 game was really fun, and the Danger Noodle game kind of cruised through that as well. I think all the teams have been really good, and they've been giving us feedback. Like a lot of the coaches or players come up to me and say, "Okay, hey, I think you're taking a little long calling the line," or "I think you're a little like your team is a bit physical on this play," or something like that. Like a lot of people are like helping us along the way throughout the tournament, which makes me just feel really proud of Canadian Ultimate in general to kind of take that. And especially Union, shout out, because they came up to us afterwards and kind of talked about their adjustments that they made against us, and things that they wanted to attack on us. And then they also sent us footage and kind of like indicated to specific calls that we had made and those kinds of things just for educational purposes. So these teams are like really kind of taking us under their wing and trying to help our players. And I'm really appreciative of it, of that like whole energy. But most of the feedback people were giving our team is that we seem like a team, seem like we're having fun, and it doesn't seem like we've just been thrown together. Like our energy was like 10 out of 10. What would you say?
The team is terrible, spirit wise, and no, I'm just kidding. No, like in all honesty, it is true. There are definitely good vibes out there. I want to give a quick shout out. I've seen her play before, but Avery Leapai was going crazy in the game against us. Like I was like, who on our team is going to stop her? Because she was open deep a lot and like reeling them in and just like looking good out there. So I obviously I knew who she was because I've called one of her games last year for UBC. But seeing it in person, playing against it, I was like, this person a baller out here. So I could say that for a lot of people, but for sure Avery was just killing it. I think there was some load management happening on Sunday, though. I didn't see her suit up on the field there.
Yeah, she actually sprained her ankle in the third game on Saturday.
So it's tough. Make sure you heal up for nationals there, Avery. And Danger No, you go 0-3. We did say perhaps you're a little overseeded. I know you're missing some players, but Danger No does turn it around on day 2. So that's all
I know that they were upset with me too for saying stuff about nationals last year. So apologize. Your team is great. You're fun to play against. You're the best. I think they were actually missing people on Saturday.
Oh yeah. No, they're definitely missing people. Ryan Wilson also didn't play any of the tournament from what I gather. So he'll be a big time player for them.
I don't think we got to see the actual Danger Noodle in full force.
You saw like Danger, like nude, missing the like the full team. You know
some Danger nudes.
Pretty sure that you wanted to meet them last year, no borders, and you did. So
yeah, I tried. They didn't seem like as excited as I was to meet them. So
it's because Daniel wasn't there. Daniel wasn't there. Like if Daniel was there, he would have. Yeah, unrequited love. We're gonna move to Pool O and P. So King Bear, the Kingston Berry mixed master team, I think they'll be pretty good. They go 3-0. Don't really have their closest game against Zen. I like this. Zen, MMV, local YGK go 1-2, like splitting the games. This is a legitimate, notable result from the Toronto mix scene. So MMV is the C team, okay, behind Zen, who's behind Union. And MMV defeats Zen on day 1 of this tournament. You got to be fired up, folks, for the MMVers out there.
What does MMV stand for?
Mars meets Venus. I don't know. I guess that has something to do with the Zen. I don't know if that relates to the Union part, but anywho, they beat them. They do lose to our B team, local YGK. But local YGK lost by a larger score against Zen, so they come last in the pool there. But I just wanted to shout out that result because whenever, like last year when I said Manic defeated Mephisto, like that's a big deal. Mixed Berries, the Berry team, doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, at least in pool play. They finished 1-2, and it's Flow, Mixed Masters team out of the GTA, going 3-0, including a tight 9-8 win over Thunder. So if you are one of the top 2 teams in this like bottom 2 pools. You face against the bottom teams of the top 2 pools. So the crossovers all go the way of the higher seeds. So you mentioned the seeding going well. They clearly know what they're doing. So Danger Noodle defeats King Bear 11-10. So that's a close game. I think that might have had something to do with hard cap again. We defeat Thunder. I'm not there for this game because I had to go commentate, but local wins 13-5.
And the other 2 games play in that game though.
Yes, Pete did. So I mean that's a good upgrade for them.
He's like, I got like 17 goals. I got like 2 assists. Did
he say that?
Not like that, but like I think he was quite fresh compared to everybody else on the field. So I think he was quite productive.
Yeah, I mean, the scheduling didn't help us because we had just played this game against KWG. We had the Spirit Circle. And then it's like 5 minutes, we got to go play this crossover across the complex to like the back end of the field where like the big bushes are. And so everyone's just hustling over. I'm going to the car, but I'm sure Pete was feeling fresh. So Crash and Crux win their games respectively as well. Quarterfinals, you guys beat Crux pretty handily, it looks like, 13-4.
Mm-hmm.
Union takes us down 11-7. Yeah, we had our chances, but Union gets best of us there. They had a couple of pickups, but I still think they'll be a pretty solid team. Crash defeats Notorious KWG, and then the big result of quarters is Danger Noodle coming from the brink, 0-3 in pool play, comes out and win their quarter 11-9 over the Big Cat. I think they're up big, and Big Cat slowly stormed back, but the semis were not close. I don't know what was in the water, but you defeat Union quite handily, 12-6. Crash beats Danger Noodle 14-5. Setting up the final, and I'll let you talk about the final because, a little bit of a hiccup is all I'm going to say.
So I think in like quite a few of these games, we went down a break early. And then once we got our first break, we kind of rolled and we actually took half 7-4 in this game, but we started out a half on defense. And they just kind of like got a break, slowly chipped away at breaks until they're now pulling to us. It's Universe. And we have like a stall 9 kind of put out and it just fades out of bounds. It was like so close to being like, that's game. We win on Universe. And then the other team, or Crash rather, works it all the way down the other side and then they end up scoring. So it was really good for us to kind of feel that kind of pressure. It's what the opportunity that I didn't get with U20s last cycle that I really wanted this cycle was to learn how to lose and to fight back. And we were consistently doing that the whole tournament. And also to have a game that pisses you off is a gift in terms of like motivation for training. And so losing a game on Universe, feeling like, okay, we need to work on things. It's helpful. So I appreciate the energy and the kind of relentlessness and the fight that Crash had, because when they were getting breaks kind of closer in the second half, they were getting like super hyped. It's good for us to practice like feeling another team's energy and trying to focus on ourselves. So I want to like shout out Crash for that opportunity. It's making us better. They win by 1, if that wasn't clear.
They win by 1. It's early season. This is why I talk about the buy high or sell low or whatever stock watch. But Crash was looking good. I saw their roster. I was trying to get inside info beforehand, but I actually got to see their roster, and they're looking pretty good. So the Ontario mix scene is going to be pretty competitive here. I think anyone can take the region this year or the province. And Union takes on Danger Noodle for 3rd. We lose the 5th place game. We actually had a really tight game with Crux, so shout out to them. I think we were down 2 at half. We got a couple breaks. I threw an assist in there at some point. I was feeling good. We stormed back and won eventually on Universe with our O-line holding. And then we played a shortened game with KWG, so we lost. We got doubled up there, 8-4. Do want to face them again at some point. Don't think we will, but would like a 3rd match against you, KWG, because I played with a lot of them when I was living in Guelph, so it was pretty fun to see that. I even got to play against my ex-landlord and former roommate, so that was super fun. 9th place, King Bear. You hold the seed, you get 9th, so congrats to you.
All right, moving on to the open division. Theo, we had a couple predictions, or we had a prediction.
Yeah, we had a prediction, and I was walking by this team that we predicted would lose, and they were giving me a little bit of a hard time, which I love. So they said, Theo, you picked us to lose, and we did it twice. So first of all, our predictions weren't going to make sense because something happened last minute So one team dropped out, and therefore...
didn't I pick it right?
Wait, who did you pick in the final?
I thought I picked Pipe to win.
Oh yeah, so did I.
No, you said we had the same final, but you had a different winner, didn't you?
No, I had Pipe winning over Phoenix, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I got to listen to our episode, I guess.
Yeah, for the listeners, I personally don't listen. Like when the episode goes out, it just goes out. I don't really listen back to it. So we'll have to double check. But anywho, pool, it became 2 pools of 6. Hound takes the pool. They defeat GT, and that's going to be a thing that you'll want to note. But Hound defeats GT there in pool play. Maverick, my alma mater, finishes 3rd, so hype for them. Viper finishes 4th in that pool. Pool B, Pipe finishes 5-0, and they go actually undefeated. So that's a spoiler alert there. Too Bad. Who is this Too Bad team? They're doing well. They finished 2nd in the pool. And Phoenix, they were short guys. I saw their roster when I was leaving, and they were like, I think they had 13 come from Ottawa. So that's tough when you have a shortened roster there. Roy, you get some W's, and I have a soft spot for Roy because I played for them when I first started playing Ultimate. So for Toro, the junior open team here, I want to give some love to them as well because they lost to Phoenix by 1. And this is like the top juniors team out here. So shout out to them. Their pool play concluded on Sunday in the morning, and then they had semifinals. So the top 2 seeds. Too Bad. So the 2nd seed of Pool B defeats Hound 11-9. Pipe takes down GT 9-6, and then Pipe defeats Too Bad in the final 13-11. So that was fun. I may or may not have been at the game and potentially participating in said game, but we'll leave it at that. So Pipe defeats Too Bad there. Hound defeats GT for the 2nd time. So Hound has the season series on GT. Also, a result that could it mean that they're going to be better than GT by the end of the year? I'm not going to say that. But they're the better team right now. They won twice, so you got to give it to them. You know how hard it is to beat a team twice? We couldn't do it. We had a hard time this weekend beating the same team twice. So
able to watch
hard, right?
the Pipe semi-final game versus GT, and it was just, it felt personal. I don't know if you can feel that from watching a game, but it felt like these teams really wanted to beat each other. And I know that they were missing some players because I think this Pipe team has quite a few of my U24 mixed male matching players on their team. So the fact that they were able to play that well while missing some of their studs, future's bright for Pipe. And I also got to see the Pipe in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the actual their we'll say mascot. Yeah, they're missing Oscar Stonehouse, a couple others. Other teams are missing players too, right? Like GT has a couple of has some mixed players too, or has Zach Armstrong. So their teams are missing people. Take the results with what you will, but I mean, Pipe going undefeated like that, you got to be hyped for them. They're going to go into Jazz Fest looking to win that tournament as well. We'll preview that when it gets there. Phoenix takes 5th over Maverick, and Toro wins their final 2 games to finish 9th. So want to keep continuing to give love to our juniors because that's the future. So that's your open side there. You mentioned the thing about personal, there's a reason for that. Some of those players have played either together or against each other in the past, a lot. So it would make sense that was it like getting chippy?
I wouldn't say chippy, but it did seem like they cared a lot. It was
intense.
And maybe it's just because I'm a women's player and I'm also coaching in the mixed division and the women's division. It's just a different vibe potentially. So it could just be that I'm just not used to that energy, if you will. Because our mixed team is just so adorable and lovely and cutesies. And this has just felt I wouldn't say aggressive because it wasn't bad. They both were feral. We have some players on our team that are feral and I love it, but the entire teams were feral. It's scrappy. It's good.
What does that even mean? Oh, is that scrappy? That's what it means?
Yeah. Feral is you're foaming at the mouth. You look like an animal. It's good.
Okay, yeah. I could see both the teams doing that. And so, yeah, they both want to beat each other. They want to be the best. They want to consider themselves like the second best team in Toronto under GOAT. So I think there's always bragging rights there. Are we good to move to women's here? Kind of wrap up our preview?
Yeah. So in the women's division, I think like we did call this, I know this for sure. We knew Stello was going to kind of cruise through, and they did. So they end up going 7-0. I know we talked about this in the preview that there was just like a gigantic round robin. And their closest game was against Incognito, which was 9-6. So that's a really good score for Incognito as their only loss. And they had a 13-5 game against PPF, but they kind of rolled through everything else.
Yeah. There was OLU, kind of the Fox team I talked about. They go 5-2. They lose to the top two teams. Other than that, they're kind of like showing they're above the rest. Lore, I'm really stoked for Lore because that's a women's Masters team out of Toronto. They had a tougher tournament last year in the same one. So they got some W's over Queen Peas and also a big win over PPF. So that's like really good for them. Not a great sign for PPF, but it's early season still, so you can turn it around. You squeak by your kind of Masters team, Queen Peas, by 1. Toro girls get a W, so you got to be feeling good about that. I was talking to one of the coaches, Vicky Shimoda, and she was mentioning that this was still a tryout tournament for their team, so they're going to still have to cut some players. But they're going to have at least 2 teams. Hopefully, I'm hoping 3 junior girls teams out of Toronto, so that'd be really cool for them to get the experience. North, thank you for coming from North Bay. They kind of round out the tournament there. Round robin, you know how it is. You just play, and then the winner, the one who wins the most games, wins. So the result that you mentioned, 9-6, that's like a really good sign for Incognito. They picked up a couple people that played Union last year, Kristen Tam and Sarah Lamb. So the fact that they're on Incognito just boosts up their ceiling a little bit here.
Yeah, so that wraps up all of TUX. It was cool to actually participate in the tournament. I've heard about this event for so long, and to actually coach a team in it was really sweet. So thank you to the organizers, Lynn and Blue. Y'all rocked it. It's a lot of moving parts. Like I know that they had to be at like the print shop like the night before, the morning of, trying to get them to print these big schedules because they had to change them last minute. And like
I did see that.
All so hectic, so hectic. So shout out to them. Yeah, and thanks for being so accommodating again. I know I said this last episode, but udabomb.com.
Yeah, you're the bomb, but my only suggestion is we need that Google sheet out here because the PDF's a little hard to read. That's all I'm going to say. Not trying to disrespect, but I just need the Google sheet out here. It just makes it easier to follow along, I think, for us, and I'm sure the people that want to. If there's people that want to follow it, so that's the first tournament kind of wrapped up in the books. I know there's going to be a tournament in Quebec, Frisbee Fest, up in this month, and when's Flower Bowl happening, or is it happening?
I actually just don't think it's happening. It's not on my traffic schedule either. So okay. I think it just isn't going.
Okay.
We do have high school provincials coming up pretty soon here for BC.
Ooh, OFSA is happening as well from Ontario. So high school tournaments, I find it so curious that high school provincial tournaments are happening after like CHSUC. Like it just doesn't really make sense to me. It should be like you qualify from provincials to go to nationals. But anywho, that wraps up our episode today. Thank you for tuning in. You can follow us on socials, as I always say. Drop a like in this video, hit subscribe. That's what the YouTubers say. So we're going to do the same. Stay tuned for subscriber only. I'm going to talk about commentating at D3 and D1, how I'm going to try to get ready for that. And Danie, I'll see you in a little bit. We also may be road tripping back together. We still have to decide that.
Yes, we should probably start making plans. I don't have a flight home, so I need to find a way to get to Devons, Massachusetts at some point.
Well, if you just come with me back to Kingston, then you can hop in with Mr. Galbraith, and he can take you to Devons.
True. Petey and the Big Mom Band. Oh, yeah, also shout out to Pete. It was his birthday on Sunday.
Yes.
And I forgot.
We did celebrate that. Tough. I did see you post. Someone posted about it, though, on the TC Mixed Instagram, though.
Yeah. I just didn't know until it was too late, but that's okay. All right, everybody. See you next time.